One of the most important, I think, most basic aspects of training is that the feedback that we give to the animal should be binary. Basically, it's as simple as that. That if the animal gets it right, we praise and reward. If the animal gets it wrong, we reprimand and we punish. It's that simple, but it ain't happening. Why? Number one, it's human nature, probably the biggest human foible that we have, to ignore the good and moan at the bad. I mean, that's basically what we do as humans. As trainers, we fall into one or two groups. A lot of trainers say, hey, I just want to reward the dog when I'm training him. I don't want to punish. And why don't they want to punish? Because the assumption is that punishments are nasty, that punishments cause fear or they cause pain. And so they're training the dogs primarily or entirely only using rewards. And the dog's pretty cool about this. He says, I love training. I mean, I like the trainer. I love training. It's fantastic. They praise me a lot. They're smiling a lot. They give me lots of treats. And I learn a bunch of stuff. But what we generally find is a lot of the training is bribing, and we don't get the reliability that we need. Another bunch of trainers, no, they use a lot of punishments in training. A lot of training is still done on leash with metal collars, and the primary form of feedback is, a leash jerk. Other trainers will use shock collars, and the primary form of feedback is an electric shock. And, and some trainers even say, we don't want to use food, we don't want to bribe. And that used to annoy me, years ago when I started, 30, 40 years ago to repopularize the use of food lures and food rewards. No, these weren't bribes. You can use a food as a lure, as a reward, as a distraction, as a motivator, and as a bribe. And every puppy trainer knows, as any parent and politician can tell you, we don't want to bribe because it doesn't work. And so instead they use a lot of leash jerks and electric shocks. So it's kind of like dog training is divided into this primarily using rewards or primarily using punishments, and the belief system is enormous. This goes beyond science to the point where it almost becomes a religion, and we have these two sectarian fundamentalist groups that only worship half of the little book of training theory, which is our little book that we adhere to. And why is this? And I think it comes down to punishment. And there's two big things I really want to talk about in my seminars, and one is the notion that we must punish to have a reliable dog, but the second thing, punishments don't have to be nasty. I mean, this has just been written by so many people so many times, we now believe it, that a punishment must be aversive. And now when we say punishment, people think about retribution. They think about pain, like we got to get our own back because the dog's misbehaving. He knows it's wrong, and so we got to punish him and we got to hurt him. It's not the way it is at all. There's actually nothing in the little book of learning theory that says a punishment has to be aversive. It's just that when computers were training animals, the punishment had to be aversive. Because a computer couldn't say to the pigeon or the rat, hey, don't think of that, pigeon. Don't you peck that wrong key. Instead, the computer would just go, wet, won't peck that key again. One trial learning. And so because the computer had constraints, he didn't have human voice, didn't have human language, he had to use this quantum punishment, which was painful. But we don't have to copy that. And I've been thinking about this for a whole bunch of years now, and I found out that it is possible to punish a dog without any fear and pain, without even raising your voice. And this, I think, it's huge. This is massive. I think it is a major step forward in the practical training of dogs, other animals, and people. Punishments don't have to be nasty. Binary feedback is absolutely essential in training if we want a reliable response. We have to reward, we have to punish. However, punishments need not be scary or painful, and therefore I would say punishment shouldn't be scary and painful. And this is probably the biggest thing that I want to share with all of the dog trainers, all of the dog owners out there. I want to show them how it is possible to quickly train a dog to a very high level of reliability using lots of rewards, very occasional punishments, or with the voice, instructive reprimands, but that these punishments aren't scary and they aren't painful.